What use are you even? What's that all of a sudden? What's the point of your existence? Suddenly, my husband started talking nonsense. He wasn't like this originally, but he turned into a verbally abusive man right after we got married. What are you going to do after asking that? It's decided. I want a divorce. However, he doesn't know something crucial. Before we got married, I lied to him about something. It was about me being the president of a company that makes over $300 million a year. So what about our kid? Are you planning to abandon him? The word abandon is such an ugly word. You should be responsible and raise him. And you're still his father. From now on, I will be a father to a new family. I don't have time to bother with you guys anymore. My new child is about to be born. Little did I know, he had even gotten someone pregnant. No need to hold back anymore, I suppose. I've decided to pay him back more than twice what I endured till now. Since we got married, you haven't earned a single penny. You've been living comfortably on my money. I never asked you to do that. You have been a burden on me all this time. So pay me severance money of $30,000. He really is scum. I thought I should tell him the truth. Now, why should I die? If anything, it should be the other way around. So this is a legitimate demand. Understand that. I wondered how stupid he could be. I could easily afford that. I'll pay you $30,000 is nothing. Would I then revealed my true identity to my husband? Remembering his face at that moment still makes me laugh. And my revenge wasn't over yet. The real hell was just about to begin. I am Rachel Brown, the president of a certain company. I lived with my son and my husband, John. I owe my current position to my family. Rachel, can you help me with the company? Me? I can't do anything. That's not true. I want you to help because you're my sister. I have a younger brother. 3 years into my career, he asked for my help while he was a college student and starting a company dealing with imported goods. Even if I helped, what should I do? I want your advice. You've always liked goods, after all. True, I've liked cute foreign trinkets since high school. Still, I had doubts about quitting my stable job to help him. Even then, my brother did not give up. And nearly a year had passed since he proposed the idea. Then I'll help you. Really? I don't know how much help I can be, though. I resigned from my job in a way that seemed to appease my brother. 6 years later, working at my brother's company, I happened to meet my future husband, John. A friend invited me to a mixer. It was just to kill some time, but I was attracted to John's cool demeanor. How about we go out for dinner sometime? Sure, if you're okay with me. Before I knew it, I was inviting him. We started going out for meals and began dating. The comfort of being together led me to think about marriage. 3 years into our relationship, he proposed. I want you to marry me. With pleasure, if I'm good enough. Thus, we visited each other's parents. The greeting at his parents' house went well, and we were on our way to visit my family. When we're married, I want you to be a homemaker. What, a homemaker? Yeah, you said you work at a company that deals with goods, right? Yes, that's right. Sorry, but I want you to quit your job. I want you to work hard for me in our home. Once we're married, While I hesitated to answer, John seemed to get a bit irritated, thinking I needed to respond quickly. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem. Then I'm counting on you. It's a promise. I was conflicted, and this was a turning point that would affect our future. As we were about 10 minutes from home, I secretly contacted my brother. John was so focused on driving, but he didn't notice what I was doing. Since Aaron was living at our parents' house, I made the first move. So this is your parents' house, huh? Yes, my brother is here today, too. I see. Got it. And despite the nervousness, the marriage introduction went smoothly. We were treated to a meal. I'll go help out for a bit, John. You relax here. Thanks. I immediately went to where my brother was. What do you think I should do? I do want to work. You're talking about the homemaker thing, right? But we need you here. After all, it's thanks to you that we've grown so much in such a short period. Hearing that, my desire to continue working grew even stronger. Then Aaron seemed to have an idea and clapped his hands. Right, why not just keep quiet about it? What? That's going to get found out, won't it? It'll be fine. From now on, I'll ask you to do things that you can handle from home. Well, if that's the case, actually, I have another favor to ask. Aaron seemed hesitant to speak. Imagining it was something bad, I braced myself. Could you become the president in my place? What, me, a president? Why? This is something all the board members decided together. But are you the president, Aaron? That's why I'm asking you to be the president, so I can be the vice president. Please. My brother begged me, but I've only ever decided whether to purchase the proposed products. That's what's amazing. Most of the products you chose sold out immediately. That might be true, but besides, you be the president of a company that makes $300 million a year. I decided to accept his proposal. Choosing to become the president was more about not letting down the employees who chose me than the money. Thus, I decided to marry John while keeping a significant secret, and it was absolutely something that must not be revealed. We submitted our marriage registration a week after the greeting. Now that we're officially married, you'll follow my directions. Yes, I'm the head of this household. That's obvious. It was our first day in our new home. John began to adopt a high-handed attitude towards me. There had been a bit of a superior attitude before we married, so I suspected as much, but it proved to be true. I started to think about what would become of this. Hey, how about we go on a trip? A trip? We haven't had our honeymoon yet, and I thought this would be a good time. It was half a year after our marriage. Until then, I had been desperately fulfilling the role of a homemaker, as John had demanded. Such a proposal could not make me unhappy. Then where shall we go? How about Miami? You said before that you wanted to go there, right? Yes, I've always wanted to go. I was happy that he remembered that. 2 weeks later, we went on the trip, but John seemed somewhat absent-minded. Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. We have a plane to catch. Let's go. Once we arrived in Miami, I genuinely enjoyed the trip. However, that night, an incident occurred. When I woke up in the middle of the night, John, who should have been next to me, was not there. After a while, he returned to the room. Where were you? It doesn't matter where. Of course, I'd worry if you're not beside me. Then he clicked his tongue softly. Listen, from now on, don't interfere with what I do. Who do you think is supporting this lifestyle? I thought about telling him the truth then, but I held back. Indeed, John was contributing a monthly sum for living expenses, but it was only a few tens of thousands. I felt it wasn't enough and had been supplementing it with my own money without letting him know. Then I noticed something else. I smell something sweet. What is it? A smell? There can't be any. What are you talking about? Although he was evasive, I was sure about the smell. At this point, I began to suspect that he might be involved with another woman. Maybe the trip was just a pretext, and he was actually meeting some woman. The trip lasted 4 days and 3 nights, but every night he went out somewhere. I tried to follow him, but he seemed wary of me, and I couldn't catch him. I thought, what was that trip even for? Eventually, I couldn't enjoy the trip and returned to everyday life. Whether it was good timing or bad, my pregnancy was discovered around this time. I immediately reported it to him. It seems I'm pregnant. I see. His reaction was very subdued. He didn't show any joy, and instead, he seemed rather bothered. I had thought that having a child would soften his attitude, but that was not the case. Even as my belly grew, he did not help with the household chores. Could you help out a little? I'm not feeling well today. Why do I have to do that? Can't you see I can hardly move in this condition? I'm troubled too. Why did you have to get pregnant on your own? I couldn't tolerate his attitude any longer. There's no way to speak like that. That's utterly irresponsible. My words didn't reach him. Raising a child costs money. You, as my wife, should understand that much. I didn't want to understand such a thing. Could there be a husband who would say such things to his pregnant wife? There shouldn't be. As time went by, I reached the due date and ended up giving birth alone. Isn't that too cruel? No, it's beyond cruel. When I went to show the newborn baby at my parents' house, my parents and my brother were furious. If it's like that, you should just divorce him. I agree with Mom. It'll only be hard on you if it continues like this. I know, but the baby was just born, so it's not that easy to just leave. If anything happens, consult us immediately. Yes, thank you. Then as I was about to leave, Aaron called out to me. Sorry, Rachel. I forgot to mention earlier, but we've started doing business with your husband's company. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I realized it a bit late myself. Well, that can't be helped, but that information might be useful someday. You better not show that expression to anyone else. Why not just a warning? After that, I returned home, but my husband still didn't participate in childcare. It had been that way since the baby was born. I had stopped expecting anything from my husband. The baby's crying is terrible, so sleep further away from me. A baby's job is to cry. It can't be helped. Then it's your job to stop the crying. My son and I ended up sleeping in the living room, the furthest room from the bedroom. He continued to complain about trivial things. What is this meal? Don't just throw something together. I didn't have much time today. You're always home and still don't have time. Don't joke with me. He swept the dishes off the table. The plates fell to the floor, and the sudden noise made my son cry. My husband yelled, annoyed by the noise. It was a hellish scene. Never mind cleaning up, just make him stop crying. Without saying anything, I took my son and went outside. I didn't want to stay in the house for another second. About 30 minutes later, when I returned home, Jan was nowhere to be found. I sighed and thought, why do I have to do all this? Physically and mentally worn out, I eventually had to be taken to the hospital that day. After sending off my husband, I was in a remote meeting at home. During the meeting, I suddenly felt ill and lost consciousness. When I came to, I was lying in a hospital bed. My son, where is he? It's okay, he's sleeping right here. I was relieved. Aaron, did you save me? Of course, you suddenly collapsed on the screen. I ran to your house immediately. Thank you. Then his expression turned serious. Isn't it about time you reached your limit? You might be right. This time the timing was good, but if no one had noticed, it could have been irreparable. He was right. Considering my son, I thought I needed to make a decision soon. I took a deep breath. You're right, Aaron. I've been avoiding it for various reasons, but for my child's sake, I need to have a talk with John. That's definitely the best. If anything happens, Mom and I are here too. Thus, I decided that once I was discharged, I would bring up divorce with my husband. The diagnosis was exhaustion, so I was hospitalized for about 3 days before being discharged. When my son and I returned home, John, filled with anger, was waiting for us. Really? Can't you even manage your own health? There's something I need to talk about. Talk? Do it later. I'm going out now, Rachel Brown. Wait a minute. He left without saying where he was going, and he didn't return that day. He hardly ever came home after that, and I lost the opportunity to bring up the topic. Even when he did come home, there was no conversation like a married couple, and it became normal for him to take his belongings and leave again. That day, too, he went to work in the morning, and no matter how long I waited, he didn't come back. As I stayed up all night waiting to tell him about the divorce, I received a call from John's phone number. Hello. What time will you be coming home? But it wasn't his voice I heard on the other end. Are you his wife by any chance? And who is it I'm speaking to? I'm Nicole. I'm dating John. I immediately understood that she was his affair partner. This was clear evidence, and I thought it would be good material for the divorce. I see. You're not surprised. That's unexpected. Well, I had a hunch. I responded calmly, suppressing my emotions. Then this will be quick. I'm seriously in love with John, so please divorce him quickly. Do you understand what you're saying? Of course, and he said, he doesn't need someone useless like you. I see. I was about to hang up, but it seemed Nicole still had more to say. I decided to humor her and guess where he is right now. I don't know, and I don't really want to know. Listen, he's in my room sleeping like a child. Is that so? I don't really care about that now. That's why John dumped you, despite being in an affair. Nicole laughed as she spoke, which was deeply irritating. Not only my husband, but this woman was also incredibly foolish. Birds of a feather flock together, I suppose. Anyway, he's staying over at my place tonight. You sleep alone. With that, the call ended. If that's what she intended, I was ready for it too. True to Nicole's words, he did not come home. It wasn't until the next afternoon that he finally returned. You seemed to have quite a bit of fun last night, huh? What are you talking about? Didn't you hear? A woman named Nicole called me from your phone. She shouldn't meddle. His face, which had been sour, suddenly seemed to resign. She said you two are in love. Well, yeah, you're not denying it. What's the point then? He sat on the sofa and looked up at the ceiling. Hey, what use are you even? What's that all of a sudden? What? What's the point of your existence? Suddenly, he started saying things that made no sense. It had started again. Perhaps by belittling me, he was satisfying his own self-esteem. If that was the case, it was hopeless. What are you going to do after asking that? Just checking, just making sure you're aware. What if I wasn't aware? Then it's divorce. Divorce? Your mistress also told me to leave you. Then that's fine. You're useless to me anyway. Actually, you were useless even before that. It's fine to get a divorce, but you might regret it. Me regret? No way. He didn't know something important. Before we got married, I had lied to him about something. It was that I am the president of a company with an annual turnover exceeding $300 million. However, there was something else on my mind. Our child. So what about our kid? Are you planning to abandon him? The word abandon is such an ugly word. You should be responsible and raise him. And you're still his father. Hey, you just said it was okay to divorce, right? Besides, I'm going to be a father to a new family. I don't have time to bother with you guys anymore. The new one is about to be born. I couldn't believe he had gotten her pregnant. Nicole herself hadn't mentioned it, so I couldn't have imagined such a thing happening given this situation. There was no need to hold back from him anymore. I was determined to return everything he had done to me doubled. Besides, you haven't earned a single penny since we got married. You've been living comfortably on my money. I never asked you to do that. You've been a burden to me all this time. So pay me severance money of $330,000. He really is scum. I decided to tell him the truth. Why should I? If anything, it should be the other way around. So this is a legitimate demand. Understand that. There's no way I could understand that. It's for all the losses you've caused me. Well, it's not just that. But I'm being nice by not asking you for more since you don't have money. I wondered how stupid he could be. I could easily afford that. I'll pay you $30,000. Is nothing. What I decided to reveal my true identity to my husband. He was the one who didn't understand. Thinking about what was to come, I couldn't help but feel excited. What are you gaping at? What are you thinking? Who knows what are you talking about? Don't play dumb. There's no way you can pay $330,000. Why would you think that? Because you quit your job to be a homemaker. It seemed his brain couldn't keep up. Actually, I never quit my job. You didn't quit, but you've been at home all this time. I can do it from home. If you can't believe it, I'll show you proof. I took a business card from my wallet and handed it to my husband. My name was written on it prominently as the CEO. No way. You're a CEO. I know it's hard for you to believe, seeing as you've underestimated me all this time, but this is the truth. I don't believe it. You're trying to trick me. I'm not in the mood for complications now. And another thing, my company's annual revenue is $300 million. Yes, it's an amount you could never hope to earn, no matter how hard you try. John visibly despaired. However, my revenge was far from over. Sorry to see you despairing, but there's more. More? Your company started dealing with general merchandise recently, right? You've got to be kidding. When I heard it from my brother, I was shocked, but I thought it could be useful. The dealings were managed by him, but I am the head of the company. I think I'll have to cancel our dealings then. It seems impossible to continue with a company that employs someone like you. Wait, please. If you do that, I'll be fired. That's none of my concern. We're getting a divorce after all. I apologize for everything until now. Right from now on, I'll listen to whatever you say. What a man without pride. He looked down on people, but could easily discard his pride for self-preservation. Thinking that I ever loved such a man made me feel pathetic. Unfortunately, that's not possible. Maybe you should start looking for another job now, please. I'll break up with Nicole. But isn't a child on the way? Are you going to abandon that child too? I never wanted it. She was the one who insisted on having it. You know you used to say the same thing to me. The more he spoke, the more he tightened the noose around his neck. Anyway, my decision won't change. You can use this house as you like. Why don't you invite Nicole here? I left the house holding my son. I had no attachment to this house, and we could buy new things for ourselves. We decided to head to my parents' house first. What happened all of a sudden? I'll be staying here for a while. You've made up your mind. I had decided already, but it took quite a while because of various things. Take your time. After putting my son to sleep, I contacted my brother about the dealings with John's company that you mentioned. So does that mean you're getting a divorce? Well, it's only a matter of time, but there are some things I need to take care of first. I figured it would come to this, so I'm ready. As expected of my brother. Then I decided to have him handle the termination of the contract. I won't stop now. I'll make both John and his affair partner, Nicole, see hell. Then there were several missed calls from him. I decided to answer just for kicks. What's up? Where have you? I don't plan on telling you. Please, can you come back home? There's no way I'm coming back. Don't you get it? Also, it's been officially decided not to continue the contract with your company. Is that true? Yes, and I've arranged for my brother to tell your company everything. He had nothing more to say. Whatever you try to do, this fate won't change. You better tell Nicole too. Bye. After hanging up, I laughed out loud. The scenery that had seemed so gloomy before suddenly felt brighter. There's still a final touch left, but for now, I decided to savor the current situation. 3 days after arriving at my parents' house, I've taken care of everything you asked for. You can relax now. Thank you. Now I'll take care of the rest. Got it. Let me know if you need anything. I'm counting on you. That same day, I went to consult with a lawyer. Given his behavior, there was a good chance he would be difficult about the divorce. I told the lawyer about everything up to now, including the affair and the fact that he had gotten the other woman pregnant. With that much evidence, the lawyer immediately proceeded with the formalities. I thought, looks like everything will be okay now. The next day, the president of John's company came to apologize personally. It was only natural given that an employee's actions had blown up the contract. After hearing more, it turned out he had been fired, just as I expected. What happened to him afterward was unclear. And then you were here after all. Jan had come to my parents' house to see me. I thought this might be the place. Give me another chance, will you? He was still trying to cling to me. There's no chance left. You've had plenty of them until now. It's a plea for a lifetime. Engaging with the man in front of me was just a waste of time. All I wanted was to be free from him. That's impossible, and don't come here ever again. Besides, you have Nicole and your child to think about. I'll handle that. You better not say things you can't accomplish. It'll only cause more trouble. Then, with my brother's help, we drove him away from the house. Some months later, the divorce was finalized. Of course, I demanded property division and child support from John and Nicole. The reason for the claim was to make them suffer. From what I heard, John was eventually dumped by Nicole, who also demanded child support. All that was left for him was his debt. It was a fitting outcome for such a scoundrel. Now things have finally calmed down. Then, as president, keep up the good work. I know, I'll work hard to pay back for all the trouble caused. Now that I no longer need to hide my status as a president, we moved into a high-rise apartment. From now on, I want us all to live a happy life together.
I'm leaving you for Amanda, Michael announced casually, as if he were commenting on the weather. He stood in my home office doorway, looking oddly pleased with himself. And before you start drama about divorce settlements or splitting assets, let me be clear, there won't be any of that. I'm just moving in with her. I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been reviewing financial reports for the investment firm I manage. At 42, I'd spent 15 years building a life with this man. And here he was, throwing it all away for his 23-year-old secretary. Nothing to say, Elizabeth. He smirked, clearly expecting tears or begging. Usually you have an opinion about everything. I kept my expression neutral as I closed my laptop. How long have you been planning this, Michael? He walked into my office now, confidence radiating from his expensive suit and freshly styled hair. Does it matter? Amanda understands me in ways you never could. She's young, exciting. Everything you're not anymore. I nodded slowly, opening my desk drawer. And you fought this through? The legal implications. There won't be any legal implications, he scoffed. I'm not filing for divorce. I'm just leaving. You can't force me to sign papers or split anything. I've checked. Interesting, I said, pulling out a thick envelope. So you've forgotten about this? His smug expression faltered slightly as I removed the document. What's that? The prenuptial agreement you signed 15 years ago. I replied calmly. The one your father insisted on, remember? To protect the family assets? The color drained from his face. That was years ago. It can't still be valid. Oh, but it is. I slid the document across my desk. Section 3 is particularly relevant. In case of abandonment or infidelity, all joint assets are to be split 70-30 in favor of the wronged party. There's also a fascinating clause about maintaining the standard of living. Michael snatched up the papers, his hands shaking slightly as he flipped through them. You planned this, he accused. You kept this all these years, waiting. I couldn't help but laugh. I planned for you to cheat with your secretary, to announce you're abandoning our marriage. Give yourself some credit, Michael. This level of stupidity is entirely your own achievement. You can't prove anything, he blustered, but his voice lacked conviction. It's my word against yours about Amanda. I opened my laptop again, turning it to face him. Actually, I have the emails between you and Amanda going back 6 months. The hotel receipts. The jewelry purchases. Did you really think I wouldn't notice $12,000 charged to our joint account at Tiffany's? The swagger was gone now, replaced by something between panic and rage. You've been spying on me? No, Michael. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. I knew something was wrong when you started working late every Tuesday and Thursday, the same nights the corporate card showed charges at the Golden Grove Hotel. He slumped into the chair across from my desk, the prenup clutched in his hand. What do you want? I want what I'm legally entitled to, I replied. The prenup makes it quite clear. We can do this quietly, quickly, and you can go live your exciting new life with Amanda. Or we can let my lawyers handle it, which will be considerably messier and more expensive. You're bluffing, he tried one last time. You wouldn't want people knowing about this. Your reputation. My reputation. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not the one having an affair with a secretary young enough to be my daughter. I'm not the one trying to abandon my marriage without proper legal proceedings. Would you like me to show you the social media response when my lawyers release the evidence? Michael's face had taken on a grayish tinge. The prenup slipped from his fingers onto my desk. I need time to think. You have 48 hours, I said, turning back to my laptop. After that, my lawyers will file the paperwork and things will become significantly more complicated. He stood up, his movements stiff. This isn't over. Actually, Michael, it is. It was over the moment you decided to throw away 15 years of marriage for someone who wasn't even born when we met. I looked him in the eye. I suggest you use these 48 hours wisely. Unlike you, I've already done my homework. As he walked out of my office, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I felt an odd sense of calm. I'd spent months preparing for this moment, gathering evidence, consulting with lawyers, securing copies of all our financial records. While Michael had been planning his new life with Amanda, I'd been planning my defense. I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. Sarah? Yes, he finally told me, just like we expected. No, he didn't take it well when I showed him the prenup. I smiled, remembering his face. You'll have the papers ready by Wednesday, perfect. What Michael didn't know was that the prenup was just the beginning. I had discovered something far more interesting in our financial records, something that would make him wish he'd just agreed to a simple divorce when he had the chance. The next morning, I sat in my lawyer's office, watching Sarah review the documents I'd brought. Her eyebrows rose higher with each page she turned. This is quite something, she said finally, looking up at me. You're sure about these transactions? I nodded, sliding another folder across her desk. 3 years of systematic fraud. Michael's been embezzling from his family's company, filtering money through fake consulting firms. Most of it's been going to offshore accounts. Sarah whistled softly, and his father has no idea. None. I took a sip of my coffee. Robert's been too busy expanding the business to notice his son's creative accounting. But once these records become part of the divorce proceedings, they'll have to be disclosed. Sarah finished, a slow smile spreading across her face. Elizabeth, you're either brilliant or terrifying. Possibly both. I had discovered the discrepancies purely by accident. One night, while Michael was at his regular late meeting with Amanda, I was reviewing our tax returns and noticed something odd. Small consulting payments, recurring monthly, to companies I'd never heard of. A little digging revealed these companies didn't exist. They were shells created to funnel money away from the family business. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. We need to talk. Dinner tonight? Already cracking, I murmured, showing Sarah the message. What are you going to do? She asked. Meet him, of course. Let's see what he offers before we show our full hand. That evening, I arrived at La Maison, our usual anniversary spot. Michael was already there, looking considerably less polished than yesterday. His expensive suit couldn't hide the dark circles under his eyes or his nervous fidgeting. You look terrible, I observed, sitting down across from him. He ignored the comment. I've been thinking about what you said, about doing this quietly. Have you? I kept my tone neutral, signaling a waiter for a glass of wine. We could work something out, he said, leaning forward. A fair split. 50-50. You keep the beach house, I'll keep the city apartment. We both walk away with dignity. I couldn't help but laugh. That's your idea of fair? After what you've done? Be reasonable, Elizabeth, he hissed. You're not exactly in your prime anymore. This could be your last chance at a decent settlement. I took a slow sip of my wine, letting him stew in his desperation. You know what I find interesting, Michael? How a man who makes $200,000 a year can afford to buy his secretary a $12,000 necklace, or how he manages multiple offshore accounts on that salary. His face went white. What are you talking about? Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. I pulled out my phone, pulling up a spreadsheet. Shall we discuss Meridian Consulting, or perhaps Global Solutions Partners? Fascinating companies. They don't seem to have any employees, offices, or actual business, but they've received millions in consulting fees from your family's firm. Michael's hand shook as he reached for his water glass. You're out of your depth. No, darling, you are. I showed him the screen. These transfers weren't exactly subtle. Your father's accountants will figure it out eventually. Unless what? He practically whispered. Unless we handle this divorce my way. The prenup split, plus a few additional terms. Sign the papers and these financial records stay private. Fight me, and they become part of the public court record. He slumped in his chair. You destroy the whole family business just to spite me. I'm not destroying anything, I replied calmly. You did that yourself when you decided to steal from your father while cheating with your secretary. I'm simply giving you a choice about how this ends. The waiter approached with menus, but Michael waved him away. What are your terms? I pulled an envelope from my bag. The prenup split, as mentioned. You sign over the city apartment and beach house to me. A very generous monthly alimony payment, which I'm sure you can afford given your additional income sources. And you resign from the company quietly, citing personal reasons. You want me to give up everything. His voice cracked. Not everything. You'll keep your freedom to be with Amanda. Although, I paused, checking my phone again. You might want to check in with her. Last I heard, she was getting quite cozy with a new intern in accounting. Apparently, you're not the only one who appreciates youth and excitement. Michael grabbed the envelope, his hands shaking as he opened it. I need time to review this with my lawyer. You have 24 hours, I said, standing up. After that, I have a meeting scheduled with your father. I'm sure he'd be very interested in reviewing these financial records. As I walked out of the restaurant, I felt lighter than I had in months. Michael had underestimated me, assumed I was too naive or too afraid to fight back. He never realized that while he was playing around with his young secretary, I was carefully building a case that would bring his whole world crashing down. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Michael. You'll regret this. I smiled, typing my response. No, Michael. You already do. Michael waited until the last possible minute to respond to my message. He simply said, My office, 9 a.m., bringing my lawyer. I showed up 10 minutes early, wearing my best suit. My friend Sarah was with me, holding a briefcase full of documents, enough to ruin Michael's career and maybe even start a criminal case. His office looked just like I remembered. Fancy and full of family photos that tried to make him seem loving and loyal. The irony was clear. Michael looked tired as he sat behind his desk. His lawyer, James Porter, stood by the window, trying to look confident but not doing a great job. They watched as Sarah and I sat down. Let's get to the point, James said. Michael agrees to most of your terms, with a few changes. Most? I asked. He's fine with the property and alimony, James explained. But asking him to quit the family business is too much. We want that part removed. Sarah opened the briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. Then maybe we should go over why that part is necessary. That won't be needed, Michael said quickly, too quickly. I leaned forward. Actually, it is. James, there's something Michael didn't tell you. Something about shady accounting and hidden money overseas. James turned to Michael. What is she talking about? Before Michael could answer, the door opened. His father, Robert, walked in holding a spreadsheet I recognized. I think she means this, Robert said seriously. Michael jumped up. Dad, what are you doing here? What I should have done a long time ago, paying attention, Robert replied. Elizabeth sent me this last night. Our accountants checked it out this morning. Michael's face twisted in anger. You went to my father? You. Careful, Sarah warned. Everything said here is on record. Robert stood behind me. The board is meeting today. You don't need to resign, Michael. You're fired. Michael sank back in his chair. Dad, please, I can explain. Explain what? Robert snapped. That you stole from us? Lied to your wife? Left a paper trail like an amateur? James coughed. Given this, maybe we should pause to talk. There's nothing to talk about, I cut in. Michael signs the divorce papers today. If he does, I won't press fraud charges. You can't prove it, Michael tried again. Robert placed a hand on my shoulder. She doesn't have to. I'll press charges if you don't sign. It's up to you, son. The next hour flew by. Michael signed everything with a shaky hand. He didn't even read the documents. By 10 a.m., it was over. Our 15-year marriage ended with a few signatures. As he and his lawyer left, Robert looked at me. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I should have seen this coming. I shook my head. We both trusted him. That's not your fault. He hesitated, then smiled a little. You're still family. Actually, we need someone new to lead financial oversight, someone sharp, who notices everything. I laughed. Are you offering me Michael's old job? No, he said. I'm offering you the job you've always deserved. Michael only had the title. You have the talent. 3 months later, I sat in my new office, Michael's old one, but now fully redecorated. The company was bouncing back after the scandal, mostly because we'd kept the worst parts quiet. Michael had moved into a small apartment. His girlfriend Amanda had dumped him for an intern. That part still made me smile. There was a knock on the door. Sarah peeked in, grinning. Guess who I just heard from? Who? Michael's lawyer. He wants to lower the alimony. Says he can't afford the payments. Let me guess. Entry-level jobs don't pay like executive ones. He's a junior accountant at a tiny firm, she said. The irony is perfect. Send the usual reply. Request denied. Request denied. When Sarah left, I walked to the window. Life was better than ever. I had the beach house, a city apartment I loved, and a job I earned on my own. My phone buzzed with a text from Robert. Board meeting at 2. Bring the reports. And Elizabeth? Thanks for saving the company. I smiled, grabbed my files, and headed to the meeting. As I walked past the front desk, where Amanda once worked, I nodded to the new secretary, a smart woman in her 50s. I'd made sure Michael's type wouldn't be hired again. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's rising above, getting better, and moving on. Michael tried to leave me with nothing. Instead, he lost everything, and I gained more than I ever imagined. The best part? He destroyed himself. I just made sure he didn't take me down with him.